They say most people see the world as it is, but a rare few, the dangerous ones, see it as it could be. And when you start seeing what others can't, you stop living the same way they do. Build up. The story begins in a small, quiet town in Pennsylvania, where the sky always looked a little too gray, and the streets whispered stories that no one wanted to hear. Eli Carter, 32, wasn't special in any way. He fixed cars at a small garage his father left behind, the kind of place that smelled like oil, regret, and half-forgotten dreams. Every morning, Eli wiped the same counter, turned the same wrench, and listened to the same tired voices of men who'd given up on wanting more. But inside, he carried something different, a sense that people were lying not with words but with how they lived. He could see things others couldn't. Not ghosts, not visions, but patterns. When someone smiled, he saw what they had behind it. When someone promised, he heard what they feared losing. It wasn't a gift. It was a curse that made him lonely. Because when you see through the masks, it's hard to love what's behind them. Turning point. One rainy evening, as Eli was locking up the shop, a young woman appeared, drenched, shivering, clutching a brown notebook to her chest. Her name was Rachel Donovan, a new teacher who just moved into town. Her car had broken down on the highway, and she needed help. Eli towed her car back, fixed it, and offered her coffee from the old pot in the corner. While he worked, Rachel noticed the small sketches on his desk. Faces, eyes, shadows. "You draw these?" she asked softly. Eli nodded. "Just people I meet, the parts of them I can't forget." She smiled, not mockingly, but like she understood. And for the first time in years, Eli didn't look away. Over the next few weeks, Rachel started stopping by the garage, sometimes with coffee, sometimes just to talk. She'd tell him stories about her students, how they hid behind laughter, how fear wore a friendly face. One afternoon, she said, "You see things other people don't you?" Eli froze. That's not always a good thing. Rachel smiled faintly. "Maybe not, but it's real. And maybe that's what the world needs. Someone who can see truth when everyone else is pretending." Climax. But the truth, the dark kind, found its way to Eli soon enough. One night, Rachel didn't show up at the cafe where they planned to meet. Hours passed. The streets were empty. The rain returned. When Eli finally drove to her house, he saw the lights off, except for one flickering lamp near the window. He knocked. No answer. The door creaked open, and inside, the air felt wrong. Heavy. Rachel sat on the floor, crying beside that same brown notebook. Her hands trembled as she said, "They're letting him go, Eli. The man who hurt my sister. He's walking free." Eli said nothing. He could see the chaos in her eyes, the raw, helpless ache of justice denied. That night, he walked home and sat alone in his shop. He looked at his father's old wrench, at the photos of faces he'd drawn. Faces that lied, faces that smiled while hiding cruelty. And something inside him shifted. He remembered Machiavelli's words he once read in a torn book. To see truly is to understand power, and to understand power is to stop being afraid of using it. Eli realized then, seeing what others can't isn't meant to make you sad. It's meant to make you responsible. He returned to Rachel the next morning. Her eyes were red, but her voice steadier. "I'm sorry you had to see me like that," she said. Eli replied quietly, "Don't be. Maybe seeing what others can't means we carry the pain no one else will. But it also means we can change what they won't." That week, he reported what he'd found. Old evidence the police had ignored, a mechanic's receipt from the night of the assault, proving the suspect had lied about his alibi. Eli's knowledge, his eye for patterns, his cursed sight, finally had meaning. The man was arrested again. Justice wasn't perfect, but it was real. Rachel stood beside Eli in court, tears glinting in her eyes as she whispered, "You saw what others didn't, and you acted." Resolution. Months passed. The garage still smelled like oil and rain, but something had changed. Eli no longer hated the way he saw the world. He began helping others, quietly, discreetly, not as a hero, not as a prophet, but as a man who'd learned that seeing deeply is both a wound and a weapon. One evening, Rachel brought him a small gift, a framed quote written in her handwriting. When you see what others can't, don't hide it. Use it. Eli hung it above his workbench, and for the first time he smiled, not because the world was fixed, but because he'd finally stopped pretending it was invisible. Narrator's closing line: sometimes the darkest power isn't seeing the truth, it's having the courage to do something with it.